So it's been a while, but I'm back with another book review. I've got Invaginies by Joe Koch. But before we get to that, I just want to say that I have a novel out. It's called Walnut Ridge. It's weird contemporary sci-fi. If you're into dark literary sci-fi with some quirkiness to it, go check it out. It's available at deadstarpress.com. You get it on Amazon. Order it online from Barnes & Noble, BAM, anywhere you get books. So check that out if you're interested. Now on to the review. Invaginies from Clash Books is a collection of short, dark stories by Joe Koch that releases June 25th, 2024. I received this one as an advance review copy in return for an honest review. This one clocks in at around 230 pages and contains 18 stories of varying lengths. Most seem to fall between about 2,000 to 5,000 words or so. This collection covers a wide variety of themes in either overt or subtle ways. I'm not going to go through story by story here since there are so many to cover, but some of the things that came up while reading these were ideas on sex and gender identity and gender roles, capitalism, social politics, sexual repression and freedom, and what comes along with both of those concepts. Like I said, there's a lot to chew on with these stories, and most are presented in ways that can unnerve or squick you out depending on your tolerance for horror. And there's certainly some horror here. A few standouts for me here were Bride of the White Rat, which had some good horror and fun characterization, Chronoplasty, which had a fun setting, and Pigman, which was short and blunt in a very good way. The main overall critique I would have for this collection would be more of a critique of myself. I felt very stupid reading a lot of this book. The language and prose here are very stylistic, to the point of coming across like beat writing or slam poetry at times. I struggle with that sometimes, and there's a lot of it in this collection. The narratives were very loose in places, and if you're a moron like me, you might have trouble following along and picking up on everything that Koch is putting down. Despite the themes and tones I got from the book, I know I missed plenty of stuff in here while reading. I had to read this one in small bites, which is probably the best way to do it. Unfortunately, I had to push through to get the review out before the release, and I feel like my experience suffered a little bit for it. I'd recommend taking this one a little more slowly, bit by bit. Otherwise, the flowery narrative style might get to be a little much if you're like me. There were a lot of stories written in second person in this one, which I found interesting. It's not something you see done a lot, and it tended to work here where it was utilized. The author actually talks about that a little in the afterword, which was kind of interesting because I had noticed as I was going through. I'm not terribly well versed in the world of weird fiction, but overall this gave me sort of similar-ish vibes to Thomas Ligotti or John Paget that I've read. It also reminded me of Voidheads by Chris Kelso, which I reviewed in the past. Check that one out if you haven't watched it yet. So if you're a fan of weird, surreal fiction with a sexual and sometimes unpleasant slant, I'd say give Invaginies by Joe Koch a read. Even if you struggle with atypical narration and prose like I sometimes do, I'd say you can still get plenty of enjoyment out of it if you take it piecemeal and at your own pace. For more info, check out clashbooks.com or horrorsong.blog and find out how to snag a copy of Invaginies by Joe Koch. What do you think, Winston? You have a computer brain. Were you better able to parse Invaginies than me?
I'd rate Invaginies by Joe Koch 5.5 constantly morphing genitalia.